Tezlyn, let me start with you. The Trump team is going to say it was about Trump. Democrats are certainly pointing at a whole lot of different things, as we just laid out. But your former guy, Bernie Sanders, says it's more broadly about the party. What's your take?
Well, let me just address Bernie Sanders right out the gate. I want him to go back and have a seat in that folding chair. You remember that folding chair meme that was going around with Bernie Sanders? He needs to have a seat. The bottom line is, although what he said, it may be true, Bernie Sanders never supported VP Harris. And I'm appalled, by his statement. He waited until the very last minute to endorse, very much like he did with Hillary Clinton. And then he did not do anything to try to help get her elected. So he's not in position to really speak. He did not do that with Joe Biden. He immediately endorsed Joe Biden. He threw the progressive movement completely under the bus and said that Joe Biden would be the most progressive president in our recent history. So I don't appreciate his take because I think it's disingenuous. But the main issue is there was never a chance in hell, and I'm just being very clear, never a chance in hell that VP Harris was going to have a shot at this. I said it, Dan, in June. I said it in July, that setting her up for a 100-day campaign, a woman of color in particularly, a 100-day campaign was a disaster. Joe Biden should have got off the last 2 years. They should have had a primary and ran somebody for that seat. So there's a lot of finger pointing that's going on, as it should be. But there's a list of things, but I won't take up too much of time, but I can go down the list of the bag that these consultants have fumbled. Most of the people that you ran in that segment right before me should be quiet because they were the ones that were telling Joe Biden to get off the horse. They were the ones that were selling this dream. White women did not vote for Hillary Clinton. They knew that then, and they knew that now. So they sold a dream like a timeshare scam, and I put the blame on them.
And when you say them, who specifically are you talking about? I mean, if when people say to you, what was the problem, right? Putting aside everything we just laid out, when people say to you, hey, I got to run, but real quick, what do you think? What do you think the problem was? What do you say?
Well, one, Joe Biden was the problem. He should have got off beforehand. But I do want to address the consultant class that have fumbled, like you ran in the package, that have fumbled $1 billion bag. They've been doing this since Obama ran. They have literally came into these cities. They did not listen to the grassroots. They said that they knew it all. They spent all the money internally. They spent all the money on celebrities. They did not listen to the needs of the people. So they got this. They got exactly what they earned. And it's unfortunate because the people will now suffer as a result. It is time, respectfully, to the George Clooney's of the world, the Hollywood of the world, respectfully to the James Carville of the world, who they're still listening to, who the last time he was successful was in the 90s. It's time for them to have a seat and listen to the grassroots and what it is that they're looking for. And until they do that, Democrats will continue to fail. I can't speak on the Republican side because I haven't worked on Republican campaigns. But what I can tell you about on the left side, on the Democrat side, that it has been a disaster for a very long time, and it's time that the grassroots revolts against it, and I hope they get it together this next time around. And I say that as an independent, by the way.
All right, Steve Cortes, Trump did not win because he's popular, right? He is still largely unpopular in the country. So what do you think it was that led to the result that we've seen?
Well, Dan, I would challenge that premise because when you win the popular vote by over 4 million votes, by definition, you are popular.
Well, that's not true.
Now, perhaps he wasn't in the past, but he is not. No, it is true.
Hang on. It's not true that the popular vote has been counted. We'll see. He's probably going to win the popular vote. We'll see what the numbers are.
Okay, but he's certainly going to win by 4 million.
Just because you beat someone else, this was largely an election. Let's not pretend. This was largely an election where people voted against the other person, right? The notion that somehow Donald Trump is wildly popular is not borne out by the polls. He's wildly unpopular. But what's even more unpopular is the Biden-Harris administration. And that's clear.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, it wasn't, come on, be honest. He didn't win this because America at the whole loves Donald Trump.
Dan, I do not accept your premise at all. He would not have won the popular vote. But regardless, I think what's really important here, clearly it was also, at the same time, both things can be true, it was also clearly a wholesale rejection of life under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And let's just be really substantive and tangible here. Grocery prices were far and away the #1 issue in all of the extensive polling I did of the battleground states. Inflation generally, but grocery prices specifically. And by the way, when we look back throughout all of human history across the globe, high food prices drive political earthquakes, from the French Revolution to the Arab Spring to what happened on on Tuesday night here in the United States. So people clearly rejected that harsh reality of their lives, that they can't afford the most basic human task. That was the fundamental driver of this.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.